if you look at the statistics for people who gamble, what you'll notice is the chances of winning are extremely low, especially when you look at things like lottery. You have other games that have a slightly higher chance of winning, but essentially the house is bet against you. Now, if you look at statistically, it's a retarded thing to do. So, why do people still do it? Why do people come to me telling me that they make a bunch of money, gamble it, and then they're back to square one? They have these goals and then they think they can gamble to get more, and then they end up in square one and they consistently still lose. Now, obviously, there is the part where the intermittent reinforcement, the psychological part, and the dopamine part, but that's I gambled once or twice in my life. I'm not addicted to it. So what we need to understand is why the people who are addicted to it, why do they keep coming back to it? And this always comes back to psychological payoffs or emotional payoffs. And that's what we're going to get into this video. Now, in order to understand the structure of why people gamble and why they can't stop, even though in the hole and thousands of dollars. It is because they're playing an unconscious pattern. Now, in order to be able to break free of the pattern, you need to understand what the pattern is. So let's go into a mind of a gambler. Okay. What does the gambler think? The gambler thinks, I have money, I'm going to double it, and yeah, I'm just going to keep doing that and win forever, or just have one big win and then stop, right? Which ultimately never happens. Especially if you're down in the hole a lot, you have this like sunken cost fallacy where you've invested so much, you just like commit to it. So then the gambler will put his money down. Maybe he'll win, maybe he won't. Maybe he loses his money right away. Maybe he wins, loses, wins, loses, wins, loses. Maybe he wins for the night, and then he comes back and loses it all over again. So ultimately, the end goal for most people, for the people who have problems, if you're gambling and you're winning, I mean, you don't have a problem until you start losing. So most people have a gambling problem are losing. So the ultimate goal is loss. So then what is the emotional state someone goes through when they lose? What does the gambler think when you lose this? What is wrong with me? I'm an idiot. Why did I do that? Something's wrong with me. I'm stupid. They go into this deep depression. They start beating themselves up. They lay in their bed, and then all of a sudden they're in this position where they probably have to work way harder, or they have to talk to their landlord and ask for more rent, or whatever the situation is. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the pattern and the end goal of they lost and now they're beating themselves up. And then they work really hard and then they do it all over again. Okay? So there's two main programs that are running this. First, it's guilt and it's shame. So when you make money and then spend it all, you start beating yourself up and you start shaming yourself and you start going through this guilt cycle and you start saying all of these bad things to yourself in your own head. And unconsciously, what a lot of these people are doing is the conversation their parents had with them as a child. So if they had probably a parent that was highly critical of them, so what they do is they unconsciously put themselves in a position for them to get criticized. But they do it to themselves, right? Shame. Now they feel like they're idiot, they're stupid, they're this, they're that. So they're unconsciously creating the unconscious addiction for self-criticism because that's what drives it, right? That's what drives it. And then you also have the guilt aspect. What's the guilt aspect? The guilt aspect is you work hard as hell for the money and then you blow it away as a relaxation, right? I used to do this with nicotine. I still have nicotine here and there, but hardly, right? I still enjoy it sometimes, but hardly. And the way it works is like this. You work really hard. You work your ass off. You work like 15, 16-hour days after day after day after day. And as you could probably guess, that is not sustainable long term. So then what ultimately happens? You say, I need a rest day. And you just go crazy. This is what we call work hard and play hard. So they work hard as hell. They need to relax. They need to let go. And then they go play hard. And then whether this goes like an extreme dopamine binge where, like for me, I would drink, I would smoke, I would do God knows what. And I'd be on this heavy dopamine chasing, video games, whatever it was. Then I'll binge, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. And then I'll crash. And then I'll go through the withdrawal, right? So people do that for gambling as well. So once you start to dissolve this and change the identity around it, because ultimately what is an identity that supports shame and guilt. You dissolve this, and then your need to beat yourself up, to shame yourself, to criticize yourself will start to go away, which drives the behavior that puts you in the position to do that unconsciously. And then now you can let go of it. And then when the urge comes up, you could see it, recognize the pattern, and then all of a sudden, boom, you can just cancel it right there, and you no longer are addicted to it. I've helped people overcome this by dissolving this program. And if this is something you want, like one-on-one training to dissolve these unconscious programs and mechanisms, whatever they are for you, you can reach out to me. And I also have a Skool group. I'll put it in the description where I go and I give incredible value, and I teach you guys the unconscious mechanisms that drives a lot of these. And hopefully I see you in there. If not, hopefully I'll see you in the next video, because you're going to like and subscribe if you got a lot of value out of this. So I will see you in the next video.